Hi, I'm an old guy and I do maths. Today we're looking at a thing you might call a real interest rate. And I put a question mark behind this because um, generally it's a foreign concept to most people. So um, rather than real interest rate, maybe the heading should read Real Interest Rate? Anyway, this is an introduction to the idea. And we're going to start with an example. Okay? So here it is. I'll just get all of that in frame and I'll just talk you through it. So I borrowed $1,200 for 1 year and agreed to pay a 10% interest rate. Now, at the end of that year, I paid back the $1,200 plus 120 in interest, 10% of $1,200, which I'd borrowed for the entire year. So I paid back a total of $1,320, which was $1,200 plus 10% interest. Now, the real interest rate here is 10% because I had the use of the money for the year and I paid it back in a lump sum at the end of the year plus $120 of interest. Okay. Now, I want you to consider a different way in which that money could have been repaid. And the question is, does paying $100 plus $10 per month, $110, change things? And the short answer is that it does. So let's consider that. So we'll just write this out on a fresh sheet of paper. So I borrowed $1,200. The interest rate is 10%. And what's really important is I agree to pay $110 per month to repay this loan in the space of 1 year. So if we multiply this up by 12, 110 times 12, the 12 months, what we'll get is we'll get $1,320. So what am I going on about? Well, let's just have a look at how this loan gets paid back. So we start at $1,200 and we pay, at the end of that month, we pay $110. Now, that leaves us with $1,090 outstanding? Well, no, not really, because $100 of this we could call principal, and $10 we could call interest. So it's not that. But the point is that it's not $1,200. At the end of a month, we probably owe, in fact we do owe, what shall we say? It's actually $1,100. Right, now that's interesting. Why is that interesting? Because the next time we make an interest payment, we're going to pay $100 plus $10 in interest because we've agreed to pay, as you can see up here, we've agreed to pay $110 a month, which gives $1,320, which is 10% of $1,200 on top of the $1,200, so it's $1,200 plus $110. That all seems to make sense. But 11 months out from the completion of the loan, I don't owe $1,200, I owe $1,100. And if we continue this pattern down here, what happens is at the end of the loan period, I owe something like $110, and I pay $110, and the loan, I owe $110. That's at month 12. I owe $110. I pay $110, and the loan goes to zero. But if I go back to my previous example, what I did here was I paid $1,200 plus $120 in interest at the end of the year. I had the use of this money for all of the year. If I do it this way, at the end of the year, I only owe $110. I don't owe the $1,200 that I did according to the other agreement. So what has been happening is, all the time, I have been paying $110. Now, the $100 is not, that's not under debate. It's the interest portion of it. Because in the middle of this period, after, say, 6 months, if I've been paying back $100 a month in principal, I actually owe $600. But I am paying $10 in interest on that per month. So compared to up here, I'm paying twice as much interest on the money that I owe, because I no longer owe $1,200. After 1 month I owed $1,100. After 6 months I owe $600. My combined total down here is $100 of principal plus the $10 of interest which I pay. So that's actually $100 plus $10 in interest. And according to my contract here, it's $600 plus $10 in interest. But what we're interested in is we're interested in this number and why I'm paying more than 10% interest on it. Because if 10% interest on $1,200 for 1 month is $10, what am I doing paying the same amount on 600? Worse, what am I doing paying the same amount on 100? And so what we can say is that I am paying far more interest than I would have if I'd held the money for 1 year and paid it back in one lump sum, rather than paying it back continuously over a year and paying $10 in interest the whole time. So the loan is predicated on the idea that I will always have $1,200 that I owe, but in fact that's not the truth. And so while my rate of interest as stated might be 10%, my real rate of interest might be something like 2 times that. It could be 20% interest, because I'm paying interest on $600 here as if it's $1,200, and I'm paying interest on $100 here as if it's $1,200. The average outstanding amount of the loan over the period of 1 year, if I'm paying elements of principal back, is in fact $600, not $1,200. And that is the basis of a real interest rate. Now, we'll work on some understandable examples of this, but I just want you to get your head around the idea that your actual interest rate depends upon how you repay a loan. And there are cases where you may be paying up to, or in fact more than twice the stated amount of interest. On the upside, if you're investing, sometimes the idea of a real rate of interest works very much in your favor, especially with compounding. And we'll look at an example of that too. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope this made sense. It's a difficult thing to get your head around. I understand that. But do your best and see you next time. Bye.